Hey everybody, what's going on? Hope you're all doing well. I'm Frozen and thanks for joining me. I got a special video for you today, especially if you're in my home state. I'm talking about my top 10 places to backpack right here in Pennsylvania. So before we get started, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, be sure to click that subscribe button below and click on the notification bell so you know when I post more content. At the end of the video, if you found this was useful for you, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Now what I'm gonna do with this video is I'm gonna order it by mileage. So we're gonna start off with the lower mileage trips first and work our way up. All right, let's get started. At number 10, I highly suggest that every new backpacker out there that's looking to get their feet wet, so to speak, check out a place called Minister Creek. I've had a chance to backpack this in 3-season weather and in the dead of winter, and I had a great time on both trips. Minister Creek has a 6.5 mile, pretty easy and tame elevation loop, and it has just beautiful rock formations, water features, camping is amazing along the trail, and the best part is, if you want to extend the loop, the NCT, or the North Country Scenic Trail, which runs about 4,500 miles, I believe, from end to end, also connects to the northern area of the loop. So due to its popularity, you might be struggling for campsites here, but you can always camp along the NCT. At number 9, I have Raccoon Creek State Park. It's about a 20-minute drive from my house, being a Pittsburgh resident, and it is pretty amazing, especially again for new backpackers out there. Raccoon Creek State Park is made up of 3 major trails: the Appaloosa, the Forest, and the Heritage Trail. Most of the camping can be found at the northwestern end of the park, which makes doing a loop there a little difficult. I suggest if you're gonna do the full loop, you start at the lake trailhead, which is on the Heritage Trail, and you make your way to one of the 2 shelter areas which you're required to camp in, either Pioneer or the Sioux shelter area. Each shelter area consists of 5 lean-to style shelters with a fire ring. You can also find a picnic bench and bear cables here, and there is typically plenty of tenting and even hammocking in this place. There's also plenty of other side trails and small connectors at Raccoon that you can make your own little loop up if the 19 miles is too long for you. Now, the only downside of this trail is, unfortunately, there's not a lot of volunteers that perform maintenance on the actual loop itself. So sometimes in the summer and early fall, you will find that the trail is a bit overgrown. So please keep that in mind. On top of backpacking, it's also an amazing place to bring your family, as there is a beautiful car campground, a lake which you can kayak, fish, or even swim in. At number 8, I have the John P Sayler Trail. Now, this is one of those lesser known trails right here in Pennsylvania. It's located in southern Pennsylvania, pretty close to another favorite trail of mine, which is the Laurel Highlands, which we'll talk about toward the end of the video. Now, John P Sayler Trail is a 19-mile loop, but you can take off 5 to maybe even 6 miles of this loop and make yourself a shorter loop by not doing the southern connector. There's plenty of camping along the way. There's very diverse terrain, open fields, watchtower. It's pretty nice. Definitely another beginner trip. At number 7, I gotta say Old Loggers Path, which is a 27-mile loop located in north central Pennsylvania. Now, I had a chance to do this about 3 or 4 weeks ago at this point, and I had a blast. What I would recommend is going counterclockwise and splitting it up over a full weekend. Don't rush this trail. There are plenty of little side overlooks, side trails, and some great places for swimming in the summer. Number 6, the West Rim Trail, also known as the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon. I did this loop a couple years ago, and be sure to watch out for rattlesnakes, as we saw 4 within the first 5 miles. If you end up doing this 32-mile end-to-end trail, I highly suggest bring a friend so you can park at either end of the trail, or check out Pine Creek Outfitters, as they do offer shuttle services to either end of the trail. This trail offers some great scenery, awesome campsites, and a view of Pine Creek Gorge, also known as the PA Grand Canyon. I highly suggest you take your time through here and definitely get your picture at this lonesome little tree right here. It makes for a great photo shoot. If you do the trail, I highly recommend you start at the northern end and make your way south, so you end up at the Burning Barrel Bar. At number 5, Oil Creek State Park, one of my favorite places to visit near Oil City, PA. you will find a 36-mile Girard hiking trail. Now, don't let that number scare you, as you can definitely shorten this loop by, I believe, about 10 miles if you take the cutoff trails to the park. I highly suggest parking at the main office on Friday night if you're heading up for a weekend, heading to Cow Run, and then making your way over to Wolfkill shelter areas respectively. Now, because this is a state park, you do have to reserve your shelter areas in advance on the DCNR website. Take a look at the video description below. As you take a look at the points of interest along the trail, you'll learn about Oil Creek State Park's history and how it got its name. It's very historic and it's a really, really awesome experience. At number 4, the Black Forest Trail, or the BFT. Now, the parking lot that I recommend you park at, if there's room, will be in the video description, and make sure that you go clockwise on this loop. If you use my directions and go counterclockwise, you're gonna start with 15 stream crossings right off the bat. These 15 stream crossings have a lot of good camping throughout them, but I feel like it's better to get your feet wet at the end of the trip instead of right at the beginning. Now, this place has a lot of history too, a lot of cool trails, and a lot of little campgrounds along the way, which make it an excellent experience. Beautiful scenery, awesome overlooks, but again, there's gonna be rattlesnakes in this area, so please look out. If you're thinking about doing this 42-mile trail, I highly recommend you take a full 3 days to do it and not try to push yourself, as the elevation is pretty wild. At number 3, I'm talking about my favorite trail of all time in Pennsylvania, which is the Laurel Highlands hiking trail. A 70-mile through hike end-to-end trail that starts in Johnstown, Pennsylvania and goes all the way to Ohiopyle, Pennsylvania. Now, if you're starting this trail, I highly recommend you start at mile marker 70, which is in Johnstown, and walk to Ohiopyle so you can end at the wonderful Falls City Pub for a giant burger and a great beer. One of the reasons why I really like this trail is that it's a relaxed trip, especially once you make it up to the ridge. You kind of stay up there. There are some ups and downs along the way, but your real elevation starts at mile 70, ends at mile 68, and then picks back up at mile 8 once you get stored at Ohiopyle. Now, in Ohiopyle, you will be going up and down, but there are some great overlooks along the way. I highly recommend it, and it really makes for a great first through hike experience. At number 2, the Quehanna Trail, which is a 72-mile trail located in north central Pennsylvania. A little downside before we get started about this trail is it is semi-overgrown, and some of the campsites are pretty hard to find, especially if you're in a hammock system like I usually camp in. If you're in a tent, you can pretty much find a spot everywhere. Just be sure that you're gonna wanna be comfortable looking for a spot early in the day, just in case you can't find anything and are struggling toward the end of the night. Please don't let that deter you, as the Quehanna Trail is full of history and tons of scenery. I do highly recommend it. You'll end at a beautiful state park, which also has a car campground as well. At number 1, the Sussuquahannock Trail System, which is an 85-mile loop located in north central Pennsylvania. Now, this trail actually connects to the Black Forest and Western trails respectively, and you can make a huge hiking trail out of these 3 areas. Now, the STS is made up of several trails, and it does pass through some private land, but for the most part, you can pretty much camp wherever you want without a permit. If you're looking for a map of this place, be sure to see Pine Creek Outfitters. They have great maps of all the central Pennsylvania trails. Again, look in the video description box for more information. Now, I had a chance to do this several years ago, and one of the great things about this is the northern area in Cherry Springs. Cherry Springs is one of those places where there is not a lot of light pollution from any nearby city, and makes for some great stargazing areas. So do yourself a favor and try to stay near Cherry Springs. Set an alarm, get up at 2 in the morning, and just gaze at the beauty. Along the trail, you'll find several different terrains. The elevation isn't too bad, but definitely take your time on this trail, as you're not gonna want to rush it. You'll have several streams, several different forest types, and you'll be walking through several different terrains like dense forest and open fields. It really makes for an awesome 85-mile loop if you can find the days to get out. So everybody, those were my top 10 locations for backpacking in Pennsylvania. Now, I am a Pittsburgh resident, so I haven't really taken a look at the eastern side of Pennsylvania. These are more focused toward western and central Pennsylvania because they're within 5 to 6 hours away from me. If you have a great trail that maybe I missed or is located in eastern Pennsylvania, I'd love to hear about it. Please leave a comment below. Anyway guys, I'm Frozen and thanks for watching. I'll see you on the trail. Is an 85 mile, Again, this is a trail that you can actually click. Number one, the Susuquahannock Trail System, which is an 80-file loop, 80-file, making up a 85. Next up with the Black Forest and the West Wem Trails. At number one, the Susuquahannock Trail System, an 85 mile, why can't I say this? At number one, the Susuquahannock Trail System, an 85 file, why can't I say this? What the heck? Focus.